All right. I think we're live. What's up, freaks? It's your boy Marty here from my quarantine zone. Pretty bored last couple months doing the same thing over and over again. It seems like Groundhog's Day. I figured why not switch it up a bit and do a live stream to sort of expand on today's topic in the bent, which is mining basics. Feels like a time as ever to get back to our roots here at the bent. That's what I thought today. Again, the bent, and we'll see. I got to read the article and the issue, and I guess we'll see what's going on here. So it feels as good a time as ever to get back to our roots here at the bent. I alluded to this in Friday's issue when we talked about the amount of texts I was getting from my sister, my cousin, and a bunch of other people about the upcoming halving. That's why I should probably just read it and not ramble. And how it affects the Bitcoin network. So today we're going to focus on the basics of mining and how it fits into the Bitcoin network. So miners play a pivotal role in Bitcoin, are imperative for its continued survival and success. Without miners, new blocks would not be added to the distributed ledger, which would render the ledger defunct. Adding blocks to the ledger is made possible through a proof-of-work algorithm based on Hashcash. This process makes it so blocks are costly to produce. It takes time and energy. That's what makes it costly, but easy to verify. Hashes, once they're produced, are easily verified with simple math that confirms they were produced using the specific hash function leveraged by the Bitcoin network, which is SHA-256 Hashcash. Hashcash SHA-256, How is the difficulty determined, you ask? The difficulty target is set every 2016 blocks, depending on how much faster or slower blocks are being produced in relation to the 10-minute block production target. As you can see from the 2-year charts below, Bitcoin difficulty has experienced increases and decreases that track the expansion and contraction of hash rate dedicated to the network. So you can see here, we've had difficulty increase, a little decrease here, increase, and decreases. And then you can see the hash rate chart sort of looks pretty similar to what's going on the difficulty chart. As more hash rate joins the network, the pace at which hashes below the difficulty target are found increases, quickening the pace of block production. The network self-calibrates by increasing the difficulty by pushing the difficulty target to a lower threshold. So this is a bit confusing. When blocks are coming in too fast, you increase the difficulty at which miners can find hashes below a threshold. So you increase the difficulty by lowering the difficulty target. When blocks are coming in too slow, the network self-calibrates by lowering the difficulty by pushing the difficulty target to a higher level, making it easier to discover a hash below the target. Okay, cool. What happens when a miner does find a hash below the difficulty target? Once a hash is found below the difficulty target, a miner, having proved it did some work to produce the hash, can now announce the block of transactions it has organized while finding the hash to the network. So it can begin announcing that it found the hash and has this block of transactions, sends it out to the rest of the network. As the announcement in the form of a message propagates across the network, other miners and full nodes are checking to make sure the block of transactions is following the rules set forth by the protocol. Once it is confirmed that the block of transactions is following the rules, the block is accepted by the network. The rest of the miners start building on top of that block, and the miner who added the block is awarded the block reward, which consists of the block subsidy embedded into the protocol and the fees attached to the transactions included in that particular block. The block reward is realized via the Coinbase transaction of the block, which a miner can spend after 100 blocks have been added on top of the block they mined. So if a miner mines a block and gets the block subsidy, which right now is 12.5 Bitcoin, plus all of the transactions that were included in that particular block, and it has to wait 100 blocks, Marty, is that it is important to distinguish between the block reward and the block subsidy, as many people have become comfortable with using them interchangeably. People will say block reward when they mean block subsidy. Again, the block reward is the combination of the block subsidy and the fees attached to the transactions within the block. The fees are variable depending on the demand for transacting at any given point in time. The subsidy is hard-coded into the protocol. So the fees are variable, the subsidy is hard-coded. That's where the halving comes into play. So this is why all these texts and DMs have been flooding in, for me at least, is everybody's talking about this halving that's coming up, and people want to know what's going on. So every half, the amount of Bitcoins distributed via the subsidy portion of the block reward is cut in half. Again, let me read that last sentence. The amount of Bitcoins distributed via the subsidy portion of the block reward is cut in half, simply decreasing the rate at which newly mined Bitcoins are distributed to the network. To date, we have witnessed two halvings, one at block 210,000 that cut the subsidy from 50 Bitcoin per block to 25 Bitcoin per block, and one at block 420,000 that cut the subsidy from 25 Bitcoin a block to 12.5 Bitcoin per block. At some point in the next couple of weeks, probably within 7 days or the latest estimates that I've seen, the subsidy will be cut from 12.5 Bitcoin per block to 6.25 Bitcoin per block. This is why you may be hearing increased discussion about the halving. Halvings will continue every 210,000 blocks into the future until it reaches the point where the subsidy brushes up against the 21 million Bitcoin cap set forth by the protocol. So basically, it'll get to a point where the block reward would take the supply over 21 million, and that just won't be accepted because the limit on the total supply is 21 million, and the protocol will reject that reward that takes it over that limit. So I hope this is helpful. I'll be adding to a basics page to TFTC. I'm thinking about this, just adding a basics tab to go over stuff like this that is probably evergreen, I would imagine. So you freaks can send to your family, friends, your family and friends if they're asking you these questions, you don't want to answer them. So right now, here's what the block subsidy looks like. It's 12.5 Bitcoin. The value of that subsidy per block is $109,588. This was a couple of hours ago, so probably changed. And the average fees versus subsidy, when I took the screenshot, was 2.63% of the block reward. So the fees portion is relatively small compared to the subsidy right now. Obviously, this is highly debated by some, but if you want to have a distributed peer-to-peer cash system survive, there are inherent trade-offs, and that is the fact that fees exist and you have scarce block space that people are buying for. I'm going to try and keep this quick. I got some stuff to do today. I just really wanted to test out this live stream setup and make sure I was doing it right. But yeah, this was Bitcoin mining basics. So if you freaks have any feedback on how this went, if you want to have it go a little bit longer or do more things with this, let me know. All right, I'm going to end it there. Maybe these will be longer in the future. Subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. Share this with your friends. It feels like we're going into another bull market. We want to make sure we're getting quality Bitcoin information to people who are coming to the space. People have been burned by altcoins and a lot of scams in the past. And podcasts, if you listen to the podcast and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, rate, leave a review. Every little bit helps. So this was cool. Maybe we'll do it again tomorrow.